service of CNC Worldwide.
The Daily is a service of CNC News and Jib Jab Greetings. I'm Bud Lowell. You find the AccuWeather forecast right across the top of this and all CNC local news pages.
And what we're doing here today is trying to create a brighter future than what we experienced in December. And we will do that by passing this bill. I vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Lentall in the affirmative. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 104, noes 43.
The bill is passed.
The New York State Assembly has passed, and Governor Andrew Cuomo has signed into law one of the nation's toughest gun control measures, the first to be adopted since the mass shootings last month in Newtown, Connecticut and in West Webster. The bill passed the Democratic majority state assembly Tuesday afternoon after being approved Monday night in the Republican-controlled state Senate. Both houses passed the measure by substantial margins. What the governor calls the New York SAFE Act expands the state's ban on so-called assault weapons, bans high-capacity ammunition magazines, and toughens provisions aimed at keeping guns out of the hands of convicted felons and potentially dangerous mental health patients. Rifles and shotguns that include a pistol grip are added to the assault weapons list under New York law. Owners will have a year to either register the weapons with state police or get rid of them. Under the legislation, New York will be the first state in the nation to ban any magazine that can hold more than 7 rounds and to run instant background checks on all ammunition purchases at the time of sale. The legislation will allow authorities to track ammunition purchases in real time, alert law enforcement to high-volume buys. It also requires pistol permit holders to recertify their carry permits every 5 years. The legislation also closes the so-called private sale loophole, makes sure that all gun purchases, even at gun shows, are subject to background checks. And finally, it toughens criminal penalties on those who use illegal guns to commit crimes, including making it a felony to fire on a first responder. The governor calls that the Webster provision, in honor of the 2 firefighters killed and 2 wounded in that incident. Governor Cuomo said the new law will limit gun violence.
Coming up with a system that allows for mental health screens, which then means you need a database of ownership so you can actually do those screens. You need a background check at a dealer, you need a background check when you buy it privately. And this is the first system that actually implements that.
Debate in the state assembly broke down along urban-rural lines. A number of upstate Republicans representing areas where people are raised with firearms condemned the act and the speed with which top lawmakers and the governor drafted it.
This bill will affect those who do not commit crimes, and those who commit crimes will not be affected by this bill. Therefore, I vote against it. Thank you.
Republican Mark Butler represents the Mohawk Valley, including Ilion, which happens to be the home of Remington Arms, a major employer in his district.
We're taking up a bill that, number one, tramples on the constitutional rights of our constituents to legally possess firearms, that uses a process to bring this bill to the floor by fiat rather than a legislative process that allows for public input and reasoned deliberation, and finally has the potential to put at risk hundreds of jobs in the already economically depressed Mohawk Valley.
The NRA issued a statement saying, in part, the National Rifle Association and our New York members are outraged at the draconian gun control bill that was rushed through the process late Monday evening. These gun control schemes have failed in the past and will have no impact on public safety and crime. Here's what we understand so far about the new gun law. A rifle like this Ruger 22 semi-automatic is legal. It can be bought and sold in New York. The 10-round magazines that you see here, from what we've read so far, they won't be sold, but you can still own them as long as you only put 7 rounds into one. The real high-capacity magazines, like the one you see here, and like those banned under the old 1994 federal assault weapon law, they can no longer be owned in New York. Rifles designed like this Sig Sauer with the pistol-style grip can no longer be bought in New York State. Owners either have to register them with the state police through a mechanism that still has to be set up, or they have to sell them out of state. Also, we're not clear yet on the regulations governing some kinds of shotguns, which are made to accept 8 rounds in total, 7 in a magazine, 1 in the chamber, for a total of 8 shots. We don't know yet if those will be considered legal or illegal. The town of Greece formally honored police officer John Ritter Tuesday night for his actions during the deadly Christmas Eve attack on West Webster firefighters. Firefighters and police officers from different jurisdictions packed the Greece Town Hall meeting room along with well-wishers from around Monroe County as Officer Ritter accepted the GPD's Distinguished Service Award. A 19-year member of the Greece Police Department, Officer Ritter was on his way to work the morning of December 24 when he encountered emergency response vehicles on Lake Road in Webster. Officer Ritter's car was behind the West Webster fire truck that came under fire from a gunman who'd set a car and a house on fire in order to ambush the responding firefighters. Although he was unarmed, Officer Ritter backed up and used his car, which had been hit by gunfire, to block the road so no more vehicles could approach. He found cover, notified 911, and prevented anyone else from entering the kill zone. Greecetown Supervisor John Auberger said the chaos and tragedy of that Christmas Eve event is not something the community will soon forget.
If it were not for Officer Ritter's immediate action, many more deaths and injuries could have occurred.
Officer Ritter accepted the award with his wife and children beside him. Also on hand, Webster Police Chief Gerald Pickering and West Webster Fire Chief James Dissenroth. Rochester police have released the identity of the man who became the city's first homicide victim of 2013. The victim was 24-year-old Gregory Cooper of Rochester. He was found in the street on Roycroft Drive off North Street Monday afternoon. He'd been shot several times in the torso. Police and a passerby tried to revive Cooper with CPR, but the victim was pronounced dead at Strong Memorial Hospital. A suspect was seen running away. Police are asking for witnesses to come forward. Monroe County Sheriff Patrick O'Flynn met Tuesday with school superintendents from around the county in a closed-door session on school safety. They and their staffs spent 2 hours discussing ways of preventing or minimizing tragedies such as the Sandy Hook school shootings in Newtown, Connecticut. Sheriff O'Flynn said most of the focus was on how police and his department handle crisis response, as well as how to spot areas of concern and signs of stress among employees. O'Flynn said there have been many calls since the Newtown incident asking his department to review security procedures in various school districts, hence this week's meeting. To the left of the player window, you'll see links to these and other stories at the bottom of the page, links for you to use. Post us news that you've heard about. We also, because we're a community resource, want to know about your wedding, your birth announcements, your business openings, and all that sort of thing. Post them right to us. So the next news is as it happens. Updates are when necessary, and you help us to be the judge of that. I'm Bud Lowell, CNC News.